Hey friends, this is Fighting is About Fighting 9. This is my Joe Rogan mug. This is my phone, which I'm going to plug in because we are using a lot of gas because I am currently doing this live on Instagram. So, you're watching this on my YouTube channel, and I appreciate that immensely. And please share it. It's fun hanging out with you guys. But it's also cool, we've got people here live. So if you follow me on Instagram, it's Robin Black MMA, and we're going to try to do Fighting is About Fighting and Ask Robin Black live on Instagram when we record these for the YouTube channel, which will be fun. Ask Robin Black will be interesting. We'll be able to take questions in real time. But this is Fighting is About Fighting, and it is a document of our path. The name represents the idea that you can fight for anything, and fighting to succeed or to learn something or to chase something or to go for something is what fighting is about. Watching fighting itself, watching the sport of fighting, the art of fighting, you can learn how to apply those things in life. I believe that 100%. That the study of the martial arts and the things that we learn in the study of the martial arts can carry over directly into other areas of our life. And so this was the very first show we ever did. We didn't talk about matchups and we didn't talk about upcoming fights. We just talked about life. So if you like to come to this YouTube channel to see our hangouts with fighters or to see me and Ramdeen analyze fights, I will not be offended if you're not interested in this sort of thing, this philosophical view of how fighting relates to life. But I love hanging out, and I love hanging out with people on Instagram Live while we do it. It's a weird, different, extra element that I hadn't really considered. But so I want to talk a little bit about what we've been up to, where we're going, and what challenges we've got. And in particular, if you happen to watch number 8, at the end I mentioned about my trip to Korea and what we were doing in with other travel and work and at UFC 211. And I told you that something very exciting is happening for me, and that is on June 10th, I am auditioning for the color commentary role for Dana's Contender series, which starts in July. And I told you that, and I'm telling you that now for a number of reasons that I think might be helpful for me, and somebody might find it interesting. But friends of mine mentioned, hey, you've mentioned this. You talked about it on Fighting is About Fighting. You've answered questions about it on podcasts and stuff. Most people wouldn't talk about this kind of thing. Why are you talking about it? And I'll be honest with you, I believe the reason we don't talk about things like that we're very excited about, one of the main reasons is that we're afraid when we fail. And we do fail a lot of times in life and in these types of things. We're afraid that if and when we do fail, that will look stupid. That having, been daring to dream that you would succeed at something, and daring to go for something, and daring to give it everything that you have, and daring to prepare in every possible way, and daring to openly say this is something you desperately want, that puts you out there, that puts you at risk of failure or embarrassment. And I don't believe that. I really don't. I think you can get rid of that fear by talking about it, by being open about it, by discussing it. I've said many times, and I'll say many, many more, as long as it takes, that my goal, I set out more than 10 years ago, I wanted to commentate the UFC. I had never commentated anything. I had never fought in any kind of setting. I fought Taekwondo growing up and, competed in Taekwondo. I worked in a different industry that in no way carried over. In fact, it was a challenge to move over and try to work in this field that I loved. And there was all of these things in front, and I very openly want to commentate the UFC. That's one of my goals in life. And so I have an audition to be able to do that. I've commentated a few shows for Fight Pass before, for 4 for Shudo and 2 for TKO out of Montreal, and I'll do TKO 39 in a few weeks. But this is different. This is a series, Dana's name on it, UFC's name on it, with fighters right before the UFC. and I want to accomplish this. I want to get this. And I think by being honest about that, I can take away that fear. What are we afraid of? We're afraid of failing? No is really just means not yet. If for some reason there's something, whether that is in my control or beyond my control, that in some way makes the outcome of this not what I want, then I do it again. And then I do it again, and then I get better, and then I go back, and then I improve, and then I should do more for free. And then I do, and I continue to do that until it's undeniable that I'm the best at that. And if I'm not that yet, then I have to continue doing that. And when you can be open about that, it's a little bit easier to deal with. The path has been very, very complicated, and even the next 10 days leading into it are very complicated. We're now able to identify that through the last 10 years, I've arrived at a moment where I can go and achieve this one thing. Along that path, there was a whole lot of commentating for free. There was even paying to go and commentate. There were hundreds and hundreds of failed commentary attempts. There was learning, there was study, there was all of this. That's all that matters. All that matters is the work. And we find ourselves at this point, which is where people will find themselves in any kind of, tryout for a team. You're on some kind of talent show. You have an audition for something. You're in a contest that winning will result in something, which fascinating for me is this, when these fighters fight on this Contender series, there's so much on the line. The winner will achieve a dream in his life or her life and get to the UFC. The one who fails will not yet. And so that's all real. That's all heavy. When you get to the point that you are in that situation, you have to be able to perform and you have to deal with the realities of that. And we can take any really shitty example of how this works. How you guys doing? We can take any shitty example of this, and one shitty example that comes to mind is any of these contest shows on TV. You're in American Idol, or you're in some dance-off, or some cooking show, and there's 15 of you. One is going to win. That means the other 14 are going to not win. All of the ones who do will prepare in ways that you can't even comprehend. And with the preparation, you start at the very base. What can you do to be in a better situation to perform optimally on a day where everything is on the line? There's so much at stake here. And this all carries over to the study of competition and martial arts. And it all starts with taking care of your health as best as possible. Because if there's you and 6 other people on this cooking show, and one of them is getting 8 hours sleep, one of them is meditating, one of them is exercising, one of them is eating 4 or 5 excellent healthy meals every single day. They already start at every other area of preparation ahead of where you are. You literally have to start there. And then you start to examine your ability to perform on the day, in the moment, and start working on how you can do that. So I booked work with performance coaches. I booked meetings with David Mullins, sports psychology consultant who's worked with top fighters all around the world, to look at being in the state to best do this. I've gone back and studied the work that I've done for 10 years to familiarize myself, to let it be in my skin and my blood, and look and say, you have put this work in. This is real. This is earned. You have to do all of this, because what's going to happen in these situations, and you have to be honest about it. If you aren't, and you say, I'm good, man. When I show up and I fight on game day, I'm going to be great. Something's creeping in your mind. You're afraid, you're nervous, you're worried that your family will, you'll fail your family. You're worried that maybe that thing that you trained won't work. You're worried that maybe you'll feel sick that day. Those worries, if you talk about them, if you examine them, if you put them on the table and you study them and you prepare for them, you can do something about them. If you don't, you go, I'll be good. No, I'm going to be good. Don't worry. I'm good. You do that, and you're going to fail. or there's a good chance you're going to fail, or when it happens and the psychology of questioning yourself with the lights on you and, Big John McCarthy saying, "You ready?" and all that, if you're not ready for it, you fold. So you have to address it. You have to study it. You have to study performance. You have to study yourself. You have to study your ability to perform under pressure. You have to recognize, I'm looking at it saying, this is my dream job. This is what I've been working on for 10 years. I can't carry that in with me. I have to literally examine this and really walk into it truthfully, just excited to perform for these people. Excited to go and do what I love doing. All of that has to be prepared. All of it. So when you see these people performing at a high level, sometimes people will pop up and go, "Oh man, if I got a chance to..." It's work, it's study, it's preparation, it's learning, it's improvement, it's trial and error, it's working and then failing and then learning where you failed and working some more. That's what it all is. And the reason I want to talk about it is saying all these things out loud is very helpful for me. But I thought it might be interesting too. I could say, "Oh, no problem, man. I've done 400 shows. I'm going to march in there. None of those guys are as good as me. You wait till Dana sees the tape of how good I am." That has worked for some people. In some cases, you see people do that, and they're lying to you. They did everything I'm telling you about. They did create a 2-week-long examination of what they're going to eat and what they're going to sleep and all the things they're going to say no to and the way that they're going to prepare and the mental things that they're going to study and the review of all the work they've done to get them here so that they know they belong there. All of those things, they may do them. And then they just won't tell you about them. Because this is, you study it long enough and you see this is what it takes to accomplish something. It takes insane amounts of work and dedication. And when I'm learning that from studying people who have performed on a high level, I don't want to keep that a secret. I want to share it. I want you to see it. I want you to know it. The main reason I want you to know it is because it can be done. And it can be done when you talk it out and you think it out and you throw it out there. These are just regular people. I'm just a regular guy. I'm just a guy who 10 years ago said, "I want to do this thing." And then I worked on it. And whether I get this or not, on Saturday, June 10th at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Los Angeles time, I will have worked to the point that I got on a very short list. You know what? I'm the only person in that audition who is, for my role, who's not a UFC fighter. The only one. In fact, they haven't even considered anybody else for a color commentary role or a role on that desk in an analyst position who is not a UFC fighter. They haven't. They haven't. Not for years. Not since Rogan. The people there, the producers, look for this role at UFC fighters. Just to break through and be on a list with those and have them open that door up a crack and say, all right, well, we said just UFC fighters, but this one guy has worked hard enough and learned enough and proven himself enough and done enough and got enough audience behind him and enough people, Anik and all of these, and Stan and all of these guys say he's that good. Okay, give him a chance. That's a huge accomplishment. That's real. I earned that. I did that. And I'm going to build on that. And whether that's enough now or it's enough the next time, I'll be disappointed as fuck. Because I know I'm ready for this. I know that the 400 shows, 4,000 fights, 4,000. And I didn't just go through them, I didn't just say the things you're supposed to say. I studied and I peeled back the layers and I looked deeper and deeper and I was curious and I found new answers and new language and new ways to examine it, and I studied the way that the audience will respond, and I feel like I've mastered commentary at this stage of where it's at. I really have, and I know that I'm deserving of this. But I can't control who hires who, and you can't control what judges say, and you can't control if Dana White's going to give you the fight of the night bonus or the performance of the night bonus. What you can control is put yourself in the best state to perform. That's all you can ever do. And once you stop thinking about the results, and when you start thinking about the outcome, you don't become goal-oriented, you become process-oriented, and that's what I'm doing. The process of the last 10 days of preparation and the next 10 days, it's all about the process. Because if you do it right, and if you did the work, and if you did everything that you could do, you put yourself in the best shape to have the best performance possible. And I believe with the skills that I have and the experience that I have, that my best performance is enough to get this. I really want to get it. I want to call these fighters in that last fight before they are in the UFC, because I can relate to them so much. Never mind the game and how it's evolving and their skills and the art form. I love all of that. But I can relate to the want. I can relate to the need to get it, to get there. You know? You know I can. So I'm taking off for New York in like 3 or 4 days. So I'm going to try to come in one more time and give you one more overview and chat a little more. And it helps me a lot. And thank you for hanging with me. It helps me a lot to walk in there ready to talk about it. So I'm hoping to do one more Fighting is About Fighting 10 before I go. I'm going to New York for Monster Zim. We're going to interview Mark Henry, possibly Frankie, a amazing female fighter named Sky from 1FC. And I'm going to fly to LA. We have a bit of work there for Monster Zim, and then I have this audition. I was hoping to see Brendan Schaub after this audition, but then I have to fly to Montreal, where I'm interviewing George St. Pierre. I've got a text right here. George St. Pierre for 2 long days, hours and hours and hours, to start this half-hour-long documentary for TSN up here in Canada. And then I will commentate TKO. It's going to be 2 weeks, and right in the middle of it is the most important couple of hours for me. And I'm going to be fucking ready. I promise you, I will be ready. And I'm so excited. I earned it, you know, I did. I know I did. I earned the chance. And I'm going to go give it my best. So thank you guys for hanging with me. I hope this was of some interest to you. It was very valuable for me. So I thank you very much for hanging in there with me. I'm going to give you an overview of when we're going to go live on Instagram Live for Fighting is About Fighting and Ask Robin Black. Because, hey, join us if you can live. But thank you for watching anytime, and thank you for sharing. And if you really dig it, go check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/Robin Black, and we appreciate all the help. Thank you guys so much. If I don't see you before I go to Los Angeles, I promise you, I will enjoy the hostilities. Blackout.